Hello and welcome to DFS Deep Dive. My name is Brian Craighead. I will be your host as well as Jordan, who's joining us this evening. Jordan, how are you doing tonight?
Always good when we get to talk about football, Brian.
Oh yeah, did I don't know, did the game last night catch you by surprise?
Yeah, I everything that I built was kind of around a Washington, not necessarily blowout, but I thought Washington's defense would be a little bit better. I really kind of hung my hat on Brian Robinson having a good day, and it didn't stop me from getting to Fields and DJ Moore. I had a lot of them, but as far as getting hurt by Brian Robinson, that was the worst part.
Yeah, well, I do a podcast on Thursday nights, which kind of last minute. I thought last night we weren't going to have it, but at the end we have a segment called the Chrome Dome. For me being bald, we do the Chrome Dome where we do picks in regards to prop bets and stuff like that. And so it was a good thing I missed it because I definitely built everything about Washington winning. I hit the over or under 3 out of the last 4 weeks, and I wasn't going to be even close on that. So I don't know. It turned out to be a really weird game to me.
Yeah, yep. It was yeah, Brian Robinson really killed everything I had. It was, I took him over 50 rushing yards, and I had DJ Moore over on his yards. I had Justin Fields for over a touchdown. I had the over for oh god, I had the over on the total score. I was gonna risk it and go Curtis Samuel anytime touchdown, but I couldn't. I think he ended up catching one.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't get a chance to watch it. The games to be on Amazon Prime are kind of weird to me. So, do you get the Amazon Prime package?
Oh yeah, yep. I get it. Everything that I get for football. Like I get NFL Sunday Ticket free through Verizon. There's a couple other things that I get free through there, but yeah, I've got it all.
I follow through CBS Sportsline. I haven't sprung for Amazon yet. So,
Oh, here we go. Josh is a regular listener on the show. Looks like he hit $1,000 last night.
oh wow, that's always fun, right?
Okay, good job, Josh.
Always a good time. So we're gonna hop into the Sunday slate. As everybody knows by now, we do DraftKings, the Sunday 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. games, and I was looking at it, Jordan. It looks like it's the first of our bye weeks. This right?
Yeah, I think 4 teams on by. I couldn't tell you exactly who they are. I know the Browns are one because it seems like I have Browns. Cleveland Browns, Los Angeles Chargers, Seattle Seahawks, and the Tampa Bay Bucks all on by this week.
Yeah, exactly. So we got some key players that are in that for sure. Definitely some Seahawks that will be missing, and typically the Chargers have a good team. I saw that after the bye, Austin Eckler should be back, so that should help fantasy lineup. So that's an exciting time as well. And then along with those buys, we got some primetime games this week. Last night, the Bears, like we were discussing, beat Washington 40-20. Sunday morning, we've got the Bills and Jaguars playing again over in London. Sunday night, probably the best game, from my perspective, the best game of the week. Dallas travels to San Francisco. And then on Monday night, we got the Packers traveling to the Raiders. So just keep in mind when setting your lineups that we won't have any of those players available, and that always makes things a little interesting. Then other things that's kind of important, we like to look for games that have high implied totals. And this week looks like the lines are sitting at 27. They're playing the Panthers, who are just sitting at a lowly 18. We got the Dolphins sitting at 30, so that's our high game of the week, playing the very sad Giants at 19. We have the Broncos sitting at 24. I'm sorry, the Bengals sitting at 24, playing at the Cardinals sitting at 21. The Eagles are at 27. Um, they're playing at the Rams, and I'm kind of like that game. That'd be one of my favorite games. And then last but not least, looks like we got the Chiefs sitting at 28, going against the Vikings at 23. Chiefs, as usual, are always hard to find, you know, lower end players, you can always get the Calcium Holmes in your lineup, but finding other players that you might like to have, maybe a Pacheco, something like that. But that's always an interesting team. Then we've also got a bunch of pretty good sort of injuries that we're dealing with too. This game is Sunday night, so but I still have them written down here. Elijah Mitchell's going to be out this week. Amon-Ra St. Brown is listed currently as doubtful. Traylon Burks is out, and so is Pat Freiermuth. Got several other questionable players. Saquon Barkley is going to be one. Let's see here. We've got Ingram for the Arizona Cardinals. Keontae Ingram. Let's see. Derek Carr is questionable. Ramondre Stevenson is questionable. T. Higgins practiced today, but still questionable. And I guess some of the other big injury news that just to see what the impact is going to be with Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor potentially coming back and playing in Week 5.
Yep, Cooper Kupp's on track with no limitations from everything that I've read.
Yeah, same here. Now the interesting thing will be how that will impact the Rams' overall wide receiver targets. One thing for our DFS players to keep in mind, they've already set the prices for both Taylor and Kupp as if they've been playing the first 4 weeks. Kupp's like the third highest wide receiver on the board in regards to price tag. And Taylor's not cheap either. So they've gone ahead and made any adjustments that they needed to. So just keep all those injuries, check all those at 10:30 if they're the 12 o'clock Central Times, and just be sure to check all those before finally setting your final lineup. So I'm going to kick it over to Jordan if he doesn't mind giving us his lineup for tonight. We'll take a look at that and then take a look at mine.
All right. Here we go then. So as we talked about, the Chiefs are a tough stack to get to, but I got to them. So quarterback Pat Mahomes, 8,200. I don't know how he wants his name pronounced, but we're going to continue to pronounce it how we've been pronouncing it. Devon A-Chain, 6,100. David Montgomery, 6,600. Michael Pittman, 6,400. Wandale Robinson at Stone Mim price at 3,000. Michael Wilson, 3,700. Travis Kelce, 7,600. Breece Hall, 5,400. And Saints defense at 3,000.
You've got a lot of similar players as me. I'm big on the Michael Wilson train this week as well. Trying to think. Breece Hall was another one. I don't think my final lineup had Breece Hall in it, but I just changed that last minute. The only reason I really changed it is I had both Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson in the lineup. So wasn't sure if I wanted a pair of Jets in there or not. So I made some last second adjustments, but I really do like your lineup, and you did an excellent job getting Kelce and Mahomes in there for sure.
Yeah, I just think you look at kind of the first 4 games for the Chiefs, and they get all this talk and all this hype, and they've been really mediocre. Yeah, they're 4-0, or no, I'm sorry, they're 3-1. So first game of the week against the Lions, they came out really rusty. The last 3 games, they've kind of shown who they were to an extent, but with all the hype around the whole Travis Kelce Taylor Swift thing, all the hype around how they're supposed to be so good. I mean, Mahomes has put up pedestrian scores. I mean, 25 is his highest score right now for the year. And to pay off his salary in a tournament, you need more like 36 points. But I just, for some odd reason, I just have this weird feeling that it's a Mahomes ceiling game this week.
And maybe it's an old age thing for me, but it seems like they started out last year kind of slower as well. I don't 100% recall, but part of me seems like they started out slow. I don't think this is atypical of things they've done in previous years. So they'll hit their stride for sure.
Always do.
So my lineup, I've got Tua playing against the Giants. He's sitting at 7,100. For a stack, I went ahead and went with Tyreek Hill. He's sitting at 9,000. It's sometimes so hard to get that high price player in there, but I felt really confident about this combo. I definitely felt like it was something I wanted to have for that stack. I did not bring it back with any Giants. If anybody saw the game against the Seahawks, I don't know. I can't find a player I want on that squad. Personally, I mean, there's price tags there's always, as Ted DiBiase used to say in wrestling, everybody's got a price, but I'm not sure the Giants really hit my stride for that. My two running backs, I went with Swift at the Rams. He's sitting at 6,000. And then just like Jordan, I went with David Montgomery playing the Panthers. He was sitting at 6,600. Then I bring it back to finish off with my wide receivers to go with Tyreek. I went with Nico Collins sitting at 5,600 and Garrett Wilson sitting at 6,000. Like I said, I almost went a Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson stack. I'm fine with the Jets. I'm not sure I love Zach Wilson, but he did look better the other night against the Chiefs, so we'll see. At tight end, I went with this is my one pick I don't love, but I went with Kyle Pitts playing the Texans, sitting at 3,300. Jonnu Smith has had a good first 4 games, and I don't think there's been a changing of the guard at tight end necessarily. And so for cheap, I went with Kyle Pitts. At flex, just like Jordan, I like Michael Wilson sitting at 3,700. And last but not least, I went with the Steelers defense at playing at home versus the Ravens. A lot of people are still picking the Steelers to win the game. They are a 4-point underdog, but if they're going to win, it's going to come from the defense. And I felt like they were a little underpriced. And of course, I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm a homer, but I still feel like 2,700 anytime with the Steelers is never a bad play. So that's my lineup. We're going to go over a positional breakdown now. I'm actually going to start with quarterbacks, and let me flip my paperwork to that. All right. So just like Jordan there, my list starts with Patrick Mahomes. He is sitting at 8,200, and he's playing at the Vikings. I think that could be a pretty high impactful game. We'll see how the Vikings do. If they can make it close, that could be a barn burner for sure. Next, I've got Jalen Hurts playing at the Rams. He's sitting at 8,000. I just talked about the Steelers defense, and even though I like the Steelers defense, I still like Lamar Jackson. He's sitting at 7,800. Next was my selection of Tua. I felt like he was definitely the right price point at 7,100. The next one down here, I've got Anthony Richardson. He's sitting at 7,000, playing at home versus the Titans. That rushing floor always makes him somewhat interesting. This one I'm a little debating on, but I don't think he can smell the entire year. So I went with Joe Burrow at the Cardinals for 6,200. I've never seen the price that low on Burrow, and I know he's played awful 4 games in a row, but I think eventually there's got to be a get right point. And maybe this is it. Next, I've got. It's kind of hard to go against this guy until he proves me wrong. C.J. Stroud playing at the Falcons. He's been phenomenal for the last 3 weeks, and he's sitting at an even 6,000. Also, like I mentioned earlier, I like Hurts, but I also like Stafford in the same game, especially at that price tag of 5,700. And last but not least, primarily due to rushing floor, Josh Dobbs playing against he's playing against the Bengals, and he's sitting at 5,200. So those are my quarterbacks. Were there any other ones that you like, Jordan?
Yeah. There's so I like the other side of the Chiefs game as well. I like Kirk Cousins. He's been doing it all year. I mean, 4 games so far this year. Last week, he wasn't too good, just 11 points last week, but the weeks before that, no less than 22. Excuse me. But yeah, I like Kirk Cousins, but then everybody kind of talks about 3 o'clock Kirk, and I don't want 3 o'clock Kirk to come out, but I think he's worth some shares. I mean, I think if I'm right about Pat Mahomes coming out and having a game, Kirk's going to have to throw it just as much. And then Zach Wilson, he looked fantastic last week. It looked like something almost clicked, and I don't know if he was just playing up to his competition or what. At 4,900, he doesn't have to do much. He threw for 245 and 2 touchdowns last week. He rushed for 14 yards. I mean, he did throw the ball almost 40 times, which I don't think he's going to have to do that much against Denver. I think the Jets defense is really going to put it on Denver. So I don't know that he has to do that much, and I think that's why I went with Breece Hall. But I think if you wanted to get different and be a little different with your correlation, I think you could, instead of playing Breece Hall like everybody's going to do, you play Zach Wilson and combine him with Garrett Wilson. And, if that just so happens to be who's breaking that game, then you've got a leg up on it.
Yeah, that's a very inexpensive stack. I mean, if I like Garrett Wilson, then I have to like Zach Wilson enough to throw him in there. I mean, you're looking at 4,900 for Zach Wilson and 6,000 for Garrett Wilson, so you're looking under 11,000 for that stack. So it's a contrarian stack, but it makes sense. And I totally agree with Cousins. I should have written him down. I think it can be a competitive game.
Yeah, and I just and I'm kind of shying away. So last week, we got the Bills and the Dolphins. Like, that was the game. 53 and I think it was a 53 or 54 point total. Ended up putting 60 points up there. Actually, no, it was 68. What was it? 48-20 was the final, I think. So once again, almost 70 points. It was pretty lopsided. And that's where I'm kind of leaning with this week too. For some odd reason, I think it's just going to be lopsided. That's why I don't have a bring back from anybody from Minnesota. It is in Minnesota, but like I said, I think the Chiefs come out to play this week, and it's a gut feeling. And if I've learned anything over playing DFS the last 6 years, it's, go with your gut.
Well, the one thing about Minnesota makes it difficult a lot of weeks is their best 2 players, from my perspective, are Jefferson and Hawkinson, and they're both ranked at the top in price for their individual positions. So it's always tough to have a comeback player and stack with them. Kirk's not too expensive, but I mean, the other players are kind of hard to trust. So,
yeah, I mean, after Jordan Addison coming out with 1 target, no catches last week, and just throwing up a 0, but that's kind of where you want to. Everybody's going to shy away from him. So if you are playing Kirk Cousins and you want to get a little bit different, probably Jordan Addison or TJ Hawkinson, because they both, I think Hawkinson had like 4.4 points and Addison was a 0. So everybody's going to be on a Kirk Cousins Jefferson stack just because you can make it work with Kirk Cousins price. But save yourself some money. Maybe go to Jordan Addison. Maybe he has a big week.
That makes a lot of sense. So any other quarterbacks, or do you want to move on to the running back position?
No, that's it. And before we hit running backs, let's go ahead and pay some bills here. Jump on with a little commercial from Durham Remodeling.
Serving the Quad Cities area since 1973. And with over 50 years of excellence on their track record, you'll see why it's so easy to trust their experts when it comes to all of your home improvement projects. This family-owned business has you covered on all your needs. Protect your home or building from the elements today and get great roof repair services. Need new windows? No problem. Durham Remodeling can upgrade your windows and doors. Whether you want to upgrade the little details in your home or office, or want to tear a room down and start fresh, the expert contractors at Durham Remodeling have your back. Even the smallest changes can completely transform your space. Ready to start entertaining your friends for backyard barbecues? Durham Remodeling will help you plan, design, and build your deck and patio for the perfect outdoor space. Durham Remodeling's work is 100% guaranteed, so you can rest assured that you're getting the best service around. Call 309-786-6715 today for your free estimate for all your roofing, siding, flooring, windows, and painting needs. That's Durham Remodeling, 309-786-6715.
All right. We're back. Durham Remodeling, thank you for sponsoring the show. Appreciate you guys. All right, let's jump into running backs. And like I was telling Brian before the show, man, like running backs, this is the position. I think I wrote up damn near every running back, like all the way down to like 6,000, just because they just all pop off the page at me. Start at the top. Still waiting on injury news for Saquon Barkley. He's limited at practice again. I don't know that he plays. I think they wait until he gets completely healthy. So I'm staying away from him. First guy I wrote up was Bijan Robinson. The guy's he's taken over since week one. You know, him and Algier were running mates. We're splitting week one, and now he's kind of the guy. So you can run against the Houston defense, and I think if the Falcons want to have any shot at this game, they're going to have to run through Bijan. Went right on down to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry at 7,500. He's always in play with the upside. The offense kind of runs through him. You can't go wrong with him. But I think if I was to play somebody at that price, I'm probably going Bijan anyway. But Derrick Henry's probably a good pivot. Jonathan Taylor still questionable, so I'm not really touching him at 6,800 with his first game back. Zach Moss has been playing really well, so I stayed away from him. Kyren Williams.
Jordan, let me back you up for a second here. So on the Jordan, on the Colts backfield, are you willing to take a chance on Moss, or are you kind of staying away from both Taylor and Moss?
If Taylor's playing, I'm assuming that he's going to get some work. I don't like them both. I don't like Taylor's price point at 6,800, and Zach Moss is only $1,000 less. Now, if Zach Moss was priced at like 3,500, I might take some shots on Moss. But then again, I don't like them splitting carries at those prices, and they're going to get up against Tennessee, and Tennessee has been shutting people down. So it just the whole combination of things. I think I'm staying away from the whole backfield altogether. Yeah,
I totally agree. The only part of this game on the Colts side I'd want it would be Richardson Pittman. So
yep, and that's kind of where I went with my lineup there. So this one's here kind of a perceived caution. So Kyren Williams, I wrote him up because the Eagles defense haven't been stellar stopping the run. They're still a good defense against the run. But and he's just been getting all the touches. Ronnie Rivers started taking he had like 9 carries last week. But Williams did he did all the damage. He had 2 touchdowns, did he rush for over 100? 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches for 24 yards. So we were on him when we needed to be. Now with Cooper Kupp coming back and having Puka there still as well, he's one of the highest owned running backs on the slate. He's actually right now he is projected to be the highest owned running back on the slate, over 20% owned, and I think that's wrong. I'm off the Kyren Williams train this week. He could burn me, but I think there's better plays. I think that Matthew Stafford will sling the ball. I like the Matthew Stafford play. It's just who you pair him with. So we had Josh sitting in the comments. Nobody hitting on Josh Reynolds or Laporta with Amon-Ra doubtful. So I know we're not on receivers or tight ends yet, but there's a reason why I'm not on one of their receivers, and that's my next guy, my favorite running back on the slate, David Montgomery. 32 carries last week. Absolute smash game, 121 yards, 3 touchdowns, getting receiving work. Carolina's not the greatest against the run. So that's a reason why I'm not on either of those guys. Not saying that they're not good plays, but I think they do it. I think they do it on the ground. And like I said, that's just my opinion. So I like David Montgomery, and that's kind of why I'm not on those 2 guys. But yeah, Josh Reynolds at 4,200. If he's the number 1 guy, vote him up. You can get him cheap, and you can make some of these stacks work.
I will say Yes, not to interrupt, but I'm still with Laporta, but a guy that you got to remember that's coming back this week. He's listed as questionable, but I'm assuming he's playing. Will be Jameson Williams, and the big thing with me is how that route tree will break out. So I don't love the receivers this week, even without Amon-Ra, but I will still support Laporta fully. So.
Yeah, I like Laporta, and it's just part of my whole lineup is trying to get there, and I just don't have. I like to pay down for tight end. Laporta's got a fantastic, fantastic ceiling, fantastic, a pretty decent floor. So, but next guy I wrote up was Joe Mixon. We're really just going right down the line. We talked about the Bengals and how they haven't been good. The Cardinals' defense is second worst against the run, right behind Denver. And Joe Mixon always has a game where he rushes for like 3 touchdowns, 150 yards. He does it once a year. And this is why, like, writing up the running backs, it's so hard to try to figure out who you want to put in your lineup. Because this could be a Joe Mixon, this could be a smash spot for him. So, and he's a little bit cheaper, and you can get a little bit different with your lineups by having him, because he's not super high owned either right now. He is just over, it looks like just over 12% owned, but pretty far down the list behind some of these other plays. But you could get different with him. I wrote up Kamara. I only want him are still limited. I don't want anything to do with Kamara if Derek Carr can throw the ball. Playing against the Patriots have a pretty decent defense, and Kamara did all his damage with he had 11 catches last week, 13 targets, 11 catches, 51 yards. So you figure 16.1 points of those, 14 targets, 13 catches for 33 yards. So 6.3 points of his 21.4 points were all dump downs. And if Derek Carr is not limited, I think he takes some shots against the New England secondary. I just don't think Kamara, he's not going to get 14 targets every week. It's just not going to happen. Then we get to everybody's favorite here. So Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane are priced $100 apart. I'm staying away from Mostert, but I really like Achane this week, mostly for the fact that they're splitting touches. Achane got one more carry than Mostert did last week. They both got 5 targets, and the production, Raheem Mostert 6.5 points compared to Achane's 30 points. Achane had one more carry and outrushed him by like 70 yards. Did more with his carries. He's so explosive, and I think this is going to be the last week that he's priced underneath Mostert. I think he climbs over there right there. He climbs over him this week and really takes over those RB1 roles. Get Josh saying that he thinks that Gibbs is going to have a breakout game, and that's how you're going to get different. If everybody's on Montgomery, if Gibbs does come out and have it, I think it's a possibility. But I just don't see the Lions not giving it to him. Montgomery's he's been the workhorse, and they're paying him like the number 1 back, so why not use him? Next guy, DeAndre Swift. Brian mentioned him, had him in his lineup. Swift's been fantastic since Gainwell went down. He's the guy there, and the Rams defense isn't the Rams defense of old. So I really like Swift too. Jahmyr Gibbs, it looks like he was added to the injury report Friday, and he's listed as questionable. And it's a hamstring injury. So, just to throw it out there, it looks like Jahmyr Gibbs could possibly be hurt. It's never good to pop up on the report on Friday.
Yeah, like you said, also with Montgomery, he sat out one game in week 3 and comes back with 3 touchdowns in week 4. So, I love Gibbs' upside and talent, but they're definitely bell cow right now is Montgomery for whatever reason. So,
Yeah, I just saw it when I was scrolling through, Josh. So I mean, it just kind of popped up as a Q tag on DraftKings, and so I just read it. But yeah, so it must have it happened in practice today, hamstring injury, and that could just, I mean, that could open. If they don't break the shiny new toy now, like let's get Montgomery rolling again. So I could see him definitely having a bigger game if he doesn't have to. If Craig Reynolds, if Jameer ends up being out, Craig Reynolds is the backup behind Jameer. So yeah, Craig Reynolds hasn't really done a whole lot. All right, so then we get into this is kind of like my zone of plays that I really didn't like. Don't like Zach Moss. We already talked about him. James Conner isn't bad. Cincinnati's not a great defense. James Conner for 5,800. He's getting all the work. 14 attempts in week 1, 23, 14, 11. He's getting some passing game work. I just think Josh Dobbs is kind of sucking some of those rushing plays out from him. And he's getting into his own on passing the ball. So I didn't write James Conner up. He's an okay play just because he's the bell cow back there. I don't like Alexander Madison just with Cam Akers lurking. Cam Akers did get some work. I didn't write up this guy, but I do, after kind of reading about it and remembering what he did last week. Isaiah Pacheco at 5,700. Smash week last week. And that's probably part of the reason why Mahomes hasn't had to do a whole lot, because I mean, Pacheco's been relevant the last 2 weeks. 15 carries, 62 yards. I mean, even the last 3 weeks. He hasn't gained any less than 60 yards. Had a touchdown in 2 of those 3 games, and he's getting targets too. So that could also be looking to stack somebody with Mahomes. Ramondre Stevenson, he's got a Q tag. I'm not too thrilled about him going against New Orleans. Javonte Williams with a Q tag. Jaleel McLaughlin came on in relief for him when he got hurt last week, and Jaleel looked really good. He's a big pickup in a lot of leagues. So I'm kind of staying away from that, because if Javonte Williams isn't completely and totally healthy, I could see giving Jaleel some more carries with just being a hot hand. Najee Harris just hasn't been the guy all year, and I don't think that changes going up against Baltimore. Breece Hall, this was Jets head coach comes out and says Breece Hall is no longer limited. We're going to give him a full workload. And at $5,400, going up against the worst rush defense in the league, like between him and Montgomery, I think I think I'm locking him in every lineup I do, and I think I'm going to live or die by that. I think every lineup I think is probably going to have those 2 guys. He's explosive. He catches passes. 4 targets last week. Caught 3 of them for 13 yards. 6 rushes for 56 yards. With the Chiefs kind of jumped out to an early lead, so the Jets really kind of had to throw the ball. I don't necessarily know that they're going to have to do a whole lot against Denver here. That's why I like Zach Wilson as a quarterback, but I think it's a Breece Hall day. Then scrolling down here, I wasn't really on a whole lot of these other guys. Dameon Pierce against Atlanta. Atlanta's got a pretty decent defense. I don't like Miles Sanders against Detroit. The next guy I wrote up, and the last guy I wrote up, was Matt Breida, but it's only if Saquon Barkley's out. If Breida is the number one again, he did it last week. He was involved the entire time, even with that game being a complete and total blowout. He had 14 carries for 30 yards and 5 catches for 48 yards on 5 targets. So if Barkley is out, Miami's got a little bit softer defense against the run. I think you could get down to Breida if you really needed to save some money. But that was kind of it. I didn't like Dalvin Cook. I didn't like Gus Edwards, Jaleel McLaughlin, and then you start to get into some backups, and none of them really peaked for me. So Matt Breida at 5,200 was the cheapest I got.
The only one you kind of browsed over him that I don't mind, I don't love him in a PPR format, is Gus Edwards. Pittsburgh's 27th against the run, and he did get 15 carries last week. He needs to punch one of those into the end zone, and if he does, he can get you 2 to 3 times his value. I just wish he did something out of the backfield. Even 3 or 4 catches would be good. So 5,000 is not bad if you really want to go cheap.
Yeah, I mean, and that's that's exactly. I mean, he is the guy. He's getting the carries. I mean, it's like what the recipe's there. I just think Lamar takes a lot of his. I think Lamar takes some shine off of him. I don't know, see if Justice Hill was playing. I was going to look up a question somebody asked. He's not on the main slate, but Sean Jones asking if Aaron Jones will ever get back to good. He was still limited in practice as of today with the hamstring. I don't know, man. He had a great week 1, out week 2, out week 3, and then didn't do a whole lot against Detroit in week 4, and that was mainly just because of game script. I mean, Detroit just kind of blew out the Packers, but that one I'm not sure. I'd have to look a little bit more because they'll get another day of practice in before since they're playing Monday night.
The worst thing is I'm confident he'll play, but how well he'll play is a totally different story. And the worst thing is for a running back, especially, those hamstring injuries kind of linger. So I have no doubts he'll play, but I mean, I'm not ranking him in my top 15 running backs this week. I mean, he would be an RB2 for me.
Just to go off the Gus Edwards news, Justice Hill foot hamstring was a full participant on Friday. So, and that's just another reason why I kind of just didn't, that I wouldn't like Gus Edwards, is just because Justice Hill, they tend to put Justice Hill in there closer to the goal line. So, not saying that Gus Edwards isn't talented enough to rip one off, but if they get down there close, you have to worry about Lamar running one in. Mark Andrews gets all the targets in the red zone, and then Justice Hill coming in and vulturing a few touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a great play. Just somebody. I mean, what's the guy's name? Jaleel Montgomery, is that right?
Jaleel McLaughlin.
Yeah, Jaleel. He's the same price tag. So it kind of depends on how big of a gamble you want to take. It's the upside there, depending upon how much Javonte Williams plays. McLaughlin's got a higher upside than Gus Edwards. You just know volume-wise that Edwards will get the carries, but not a lot of upside necessarily.
Yeah, McLaughlin, he looked really good last week. All right, before we jump into wide receivers, let's give you a little break here from Ryan Allison Tattoo.
Transform your body into a canvas of exquisite storytelling and profound self-expression with the skilled hands of Ryan Allison. Craft custom masterpieces that tell your unique story together. Ryan specializes in color tattoos as well as black and gray. He also practices a diverse range of styles, whether you're passionate about anime, fantasy, mythology, pop culture, video games, movies, the esoteric, nature, creatures, dot work, black work, or you have your own ideas. Ryan embraces your distinct vision with an unwavering commitment to passion, precision, and originality. Each project he undertakes is a labor of dedication, a fusion of research, artistic ingenuity, and profound symbolism. His commitment to authenticity is nothing short of remarkable, infusing his very soul into every creation. From half and full sleeves to bodysuits, awesome back pieces, to majestic front panels, Ryan is the artist for anyone seeking powerful, breathtaking artwork. With every stroke of his needle, he weaves a tale that's as unique as you are. Don't settle for ordinary tattoos when you can elevate your ink to the extraordinary with Ryan Allison. Embark on your creative journey by booking a consultation with him and proudly exhibit your story on your skin. Visit Ryan at Why Not Ink Studio in North Park Mall or check out his portfolio online at ryanallison.art. Ryan Allison Tattoos. When you choose me, you're not just getting a tattoo, you're getting an experience.
You're my boy, Ryan. All right, Brian, it's all up to you, bud.
All right, so so unlike Jordan here with his running backs, where everyone he picked, he really liked almost every one of them. I had a much harder time deciphering my wide receivers for the week, for sure. It wasn't a lot of beautification to me, but I did squeak Tyreek Hill in my lineup somehow, and it's hard not to like Justin Jefferson, but that salary at the top wasn't really, I don't know, it's always tough each week to look at. So First guys I've got written down here are the Eagles combination of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. They're sitting at 8,000 and 7,400, respectively, playing at the Rams. Next, I went with Jamar Chase. He's playing at the Cardinals. Burrow's just been ugly, and they're averaging 12 points a game. But I still, in week 3, Chase just went off, so I'm hoping for similar results to that. He's sitting at 7,900. Then next, I'm kind of curious what's going to happen. So I'm not fully endorsing any of these guys, but you have to at least consider them. But with the Rams wide receivers, I'm wondering how Cup and Nakua are going to break down. But they're both pretty high price tags. Cup is at 8,600, and Nakua is at 77. I personally am not going with either one of them, and I'm kind of curious what things look like, but we'll see. Next guy I've got written down here is who have I got here? Got Olave. He's at the Patriots. He's at his lowest price tag. I don't remember final totals, but I think he was 1 catch for 2 yards or something like that. He had virtually nothing last week.
Yep, 1 for 4.
1 for 4. Okay, not very good. But so that lowered his price tag to 6,900. So that can be viewed as a positive. Jordan had this one in his lineup, if memory serves me, but I like Pittman playing against the Titans, sitting at 6,400. Next down, I've got him in my lineup, Garrett Wilson. I've also got Nico Collins, but I don't mind Tank Dell sitting at 4,800. Then the next one I've written down is Zay Flowers playing at the Steelers. He's at 5,500, and as a Steelers fan, it's very surprising. They're 30th against the pass in regards to fantasy points given up. So I don't know. That's ugly to me as a Steelers fan for sure. I've got Thielen at the Lions. He's sitting at 5,100. We both like Michael Wilson in our lineups versus Cincinnati at 37. I've got Rashee Rice playing at the Vikings at 36. And last but not least, I got Westbrook-Ikhine for the Titans playing at the Colts at 3,400. Like the price tag and involvement wasn't bad last week. So, Jordan, did you have anybody else out there?
Yeah, I had a couple, actually a few. So right beneath Zay Flowers and right above Adam Thielen at 5,300. Jordan Addison, like I said, he's a lot of people say, a stud player coming off a bad performance, and he's not a stud. He hasn't really proved it yet, but he does have the upside. So I think coming off of 0, they could maybe make it a point to get him the ball a little bit more. And in that high-powered matchup, like I said, if you're playing Kirk Cousins, it's a thought, maybe just to have one lineup without Justin Jefferson and one with Addison in it. Then right below Adam Thielen, I have Marquise Brown. So I know we both like Michael Wilson for the price, but Hollywood Brown's kind of he's been the guy. 10 targets last week, 7 catches, 96 yards, no touchdown. So 16.6, he's had no less than 16.5 points in the last 3 weeks. And last week he didn't score a touchdown. In the other 2 weeks he did. So now if he can put it all together where he has, a 7-catch performance for 100 yards and a touchdown, he blows away his $5,000 price point. This one is strictly if T. Higgins is out. If T. Higgins is out because he's questionable right now, Tyler Boyd at 4,500. At 3,900, I have Alan Lazard. This is more of a pair with Zach Wilson. Like if you're going to play Zach Wilson, I think you could get to Lazard. I think you could kind of pair Zach. If Zach Wilson is getting a winning score, he's probably bringing Garrett Wilson and another along with him, whether it be Lazard or Tyler Conklin. You hit Michael Wilson. I had Rashee Rice. I don't mind Kadarius Toney, but I like Rashee Rice a little bit better. And then all the way Stoneman, guy in my lineup who I think is been one of the few bright points for the Giants. Is Wan'Dale Robinson playing out of the slot. Take a look here. Oh, I have to actually search him because I have to sift through all the 3,000 guys. Only 9.7 points last week, but he was $3,000 as well. 9.7 points is 3x his salary, and he only had 5 catches for 40 yards, and he rushed 1 time for 7 yards. 2 weeks he's been back. First week he was kind of limited in week 3, 5 targets. Last week 6 targets. I just, Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, Paris Campbell, just Daniel Jones doesn't throw him the ball. Like Wan'Dale Robinson is somebody he trusts. He throws him the ball a lot, and I think he looks his way a lot. And I think he's coming off an ACL injury is always tough, but I think he's. I think this could be at $3,000. He doesn't have to do much. He catches the touch. He catches a touchdown. That's 2x his salary right there. And I think the Giants going up against Miami. I'm assuming that they probably had a talk with the O-line, and that should be a focus on protecting, Danny Dimes. So I really do like Wan'Dale Robinson.
And quick update on T. Higgins. He did practice practice today, so we'll see. He's got a fractured rib. So, like they were saying on CBS Sportsline, I don't know if it was erroneously stated or not, but it was fractured rib instead of rib. So I don't know, but we'll see.
And it looks like he hasn't practiced all week and only put in a limited session today.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're looking to be a little bit different, I think Tyler Boyd will probably benefit the most. Either that or they just pepper Chase, and that's why I think Jamar Chase is a really good play too. Especially at that price, like you said, I think that's the cheapest I think I've ever seen Jamar Chase. So
yeah, exactly. They're definitely banking against the Bengals having looked so poorly. But I mean, Mixon's probably cheaper than he's been in a while too.
Yeah, and when Mixon is cheap, that's when he goes off. And I'm like I said, this has been one of the hardest weeks that I've had trying to write a lineup and put a lineup together, because I get to this point and I'm like, oh man, I was like, this guy's good. Oh, this guy's good. Oh God, how do I get this guy in my lineup? And it's just like there's so many options. And I think like normally I'll play, especially in tournaments, you want the high upside from those wide receivers in your lineup. So I usually play a wide receiver in the flex. This will be one of those weeks where I play 3 running backs, and I go with 2 running backs and the running back in the flex. All right, so moving on to tight ends. Let's do last commercial here real quick with Route 96. Throw them up there.
For Fantasy's Sake has teamed up with Route 96 Boutique to raise a little more cash for Toys for Tots this season. From September 10th until the end of November, 10% of all purchases made with Route 96 on Sundays will be donated to us for our Toys for Tots drive. At Route 96, they believe in girl power. They want a place that people of all shapes and sizes can shop and feel empowered and beautiful. They want you to be the best you possible, and they are committed to bringing you different styles while also providing some basics to express the true you. You can find them on Facebook and at route96boutique.com.
All right, we're back. Thank you, Route 96. All right, starting off tight ends. Of course, the man at the talk of the town for the last, well, let's not even say the last, let's say since week 1 when he was injured, and now he's dating Taylor Swift, and then he's doing weird things in parking lots. And so Travis Kelce, $7,600, best tight end on the main slate. And that's, he's in my lineup just because I have Mahomes. Like I said, that first look lineup is just, I'm gonna tinker all week and probably even into Sunday morning. But right now I have Travis Kelce in my lineup. Then you drop down $1,100 to the next best, which is TJ Hawkinson. He's on the other side of the matchup with against the Chiefs in the highest total game on the slate. So TJ Hawkinson, he's been right up there with Travis Kelce as far as points per week. So he's definitely, he's trending down since week 2, but I think he's due for another good game, and I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth. Then you drop another $1,000 to get to Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews saw his best output of the season last week. He was out in week 1, 15.2, only 7 in week 3, and then a whopping 25 points last week. He does benefit a lot from having no Odell Beckham. I do think Rashad Bateman's back this week, but I don't think that affects him a whole lot. He only had 5 targets, but he caught all 5 for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's not getting a ton of volume, but when he does get it, he's producing. Darren Waller was next, but I didn't write him up. I don't know, man. Like, Darren Waller was so good his first couple of years with the Raiders, and it's like now nobody uses him. Like, he's just a big guy. I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't try to get the guy the ball. He's dynamic, and this could be the week. But at $5,400, he's got to show me something first. So then Josh was talking about Laporta. I wrote Laporta up. I was like, man, his salary, where did he start out? $3,600, $3,800 a week.
Yeah.
$3,800 week 1, and he's all the way up to $5,000. And that was kind of where I was at. Like, if I'm going to pay all the way up, especially even in this middle tier, like, why not just try to get to Kelsey or Hawkinson even? But yeah, if Amon-Ra is doubtful, I think Josh is right. I think if you had to go with the middling guy, I think Sam Laporta's the guy. So, but then again, I also have David Montgomery, and it's just, I think David Montgomery is just a better play, and I think it's just negative correlation to have a running back and a tight end. Not as much as like a running back and a wide receiver, because the tight end could get targets in the red zone, but I don't mind it. Hunter Henry, he's not even the best tight end on his team. Dallas Goedert is somebody I wrote him up. One of these times is going to be his game. The Rams aren't great against the tight end position. He's out there all the time. He's getting targets. He just hasn't done a whole lot with them. Eventually, he's gonna put one together and put it in there. Got the Tyler Higbee. I don't know what it is about Higbee and DFS. 11 targets last week, and you think with like 11 targets, like, you think you just have a complete and total blowout game. You just smash all the way around. Caught 5 catches for 64 yards, only put up 11 points. That's not even 3x your salary for that many targets. Like, he gets all the targets, but he just never does anything with the production. So I usually stay away from Tyler Higbee. Taysom Hill, no. There's just too many things going on with that New Orleans tight end room. Pat Freiermuth is out. Then the guy that everybody was kind of talking about, that everybody that I've seen is on. If you can't get to one of the more expensive guys, was Zach Ertz. He's one of the higher owned. He's the 4th highest owned on the slate. He's peppered with targets every week. 10 targets again last week. Again, same thing with Higbee. He just 6 catches for 53 yards. The only difference is he's $1,000 cheaper. So, his 11.3 points compared to like Higbee's 11.1 points. I mean, you're saving salary and getting the same output. And that's why I like paying down for tight end, unless Kelsey's on the slate. Dalton Schultz had his best game last week, but I don't trust him yet. Still only 13.2 points. I mean, solid, but he's got to show me some more. You like Kyle Pitts. I just think he's getting used all wrong. And that's just my opinion. I'm not on the Kyle Pitts train. Chig Okonkwo, I skipped over him. Somebody who I do like, if I didn't have it, and this goes to the correlation thing again. It's not super negatively correlated to have a running back and a tight end, but I like Tyler Conklin. He's the last guy that I wrote up. He's seen a lot of targets. I think who is it? Is it CJ Uzomah? Is he the other tight end for the Jets?
I believe you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and Uzomah caught a touchdown last week, if I'm not mistaken. Uzomah had 1 catch for 1 yard and 1 touchdown. So that's what kind of worries me is Conklin's not. He's in there all the time. He's getting the most work. He's getting the most looks. He just not getting those targets in the end zone is what worries me. I want him to get targets in the end zone. Let's see here. Conklin's on the field for almost 70% of the snaps. He's number 2 in target share on the team, right behind Garrett Wilson. It just, that red zone, the red zone snap, just like he's the I don't know. That's what scares me off of Tyler Conklin is that they're going to bring in Uzama on the 1 and throw him a ball, and I don't want any part of it. Some guys that I didn't write up, but I don't mind: Hayden Hurst, Kylan Granson from Indianapolis. You said Jonnu Smith, who's been having a really good time. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand why you wouldn't use Kyle Pitts unless Kyle Pitts is just totally getting dogged down. But yeah, Jonnu Smith, 6 targets, 8 targets, 6 targets. I mean, quietly putting up some really good numbers. And then somebody else.
That price tag's amazingly low.
Yeah. And then Noah Gray. Even with Kelsey back, Noah Gray is on the field quite a bit. Last week, I mean, he's getting targets, 5 targets, 3 targets, 2 targets, 3 targets. Last week, he caught a bomb, a 34-yard touchdown pass. He's hit or miss. He's cheap. You know, he's always got the possibility to catch something like that. But other than that, my tight end list is really short.
Your mine are almost identical. I almost went with Jonnu Smith. That just felt ugly, I guess, but he's been really good. So
yeah. So then let's hop into defense here. Let's see, no question. Good. So I don't like paying up for defense, so I skipped over the Ravens against Pittsburgh, skipped over the Eagles against the Rams. I think that game's actually going to be. I don't know why the Eagles are priced up so high. Like, I think that game's going to be pretty competitive. First defense I wrote up was the Lions going up against the winless Carolina Panthers. The Lions have been the team. Like, they put everybody on notice. They're good. They play, and they're at home. Bryce Young's still the quarterback for the Panthers, and he's still learning. He's not super protective of the ball when he takes off. He's throwing interceptions. So I do like the Lions, but again, you're paying $3,800 for them. Skipped over the Bengals. The Dolphins were no, you didn't have the Dolphins in your
no. I went with the Steelers.
That's right. I think my stepdad was showing me his lineup, and he had the Dolphins. And I like the play. I just think that, like I said, 3,600. The Giants allowed 9 sacks last week, and the Seahawks had a career night. But like I said, I think their focus this week was, let's protect Danny Dimes. Like, let's do something, guys. A defense that I really, really like that I haven't really seen anybody really beyond the Texans. They're $3,500, which is pretty pricey, but the Falcons have really been one-dimensional. It'll be hard to stop Bijan just because he is that good. But if they can stop Bijan and stop the run and make Ritter try to beat him, Ritter's not good. So I definitely see some positive upside there.
I like them a lot too. It's just a matter of, I felt like there was enough inexpensive defenses you're getting ready to mention.
Yeah. Yeah, below them, Chiefs at 3,300, and I'm kicking myself because all my cash games and all my double ups came down to just a few points. I think I missed the cash line by 5 points, and had I stuck to my guns and stayed on Carolina's defense playing against Minnesota, Kirk Cousins threw a pick 6. That gives me an extra 8 points, and I cash in all my cash games, and Christian McCaffrey doesn't destroy me. And not only that, I could have paid up for DeAndre Swift last week too. But so back to the Chiefs. Chiefs at 3,300 going up against Minnesota. Kirk Cousins, though, is always live for an interception or two. And the pick 6 is totally possible. I skipped over the Colts. I skipped over the Broncos. I don't mind the Patriots going against New Orleans, especially if Derek Carr's still limited. Next one on my list that I really, really like are the Jets. I think they're going to be up Russell Wilson's ass all day. So, I think they're underpriced for what they could do in this matchup. Then I've got the Saints. The Saints at $3,000 against New England. Mac Jones hasn't been good. The Cowboys had 2 defensive scores against the Patriots last week. Not saying that the Saints are the Cowboys defense, but that possibility is always there. I don't mind the Cardinals. You've got the Steelers at 2,700. I don't like the Rams going up against Philly. I don't like Minnesota going against Kansas City. So the last defense I wrote up was the Titans at 2,400. It's weird because, like, as much as everybody loves Richardson, myself included, he is still a rookie. There are some mistakes to be made. I mean, he's a little bit better at protecting the ball when he takes off on the run, but the fumbles could be there. I mean, he is one of those guys who it doesn't take much to punch one out, especially from a quarterback. But yeah, I think the Titans are probably the lowest you can go. I don't want anything to do with the Panthers or the Giants, so 2,400 for the Titans is where I'm at. And it seems like I think the Titans are, from what I've seen, the Titans are probably one of the highest owned defenses on the slate. And it allows you to do a lot, because I think my next lowest defense is the Saints. And I mean, even with the Steelers, I mean, even if you need a few $100, you can pay down there and get somebody else into your lineup.
Yeah, it's amazing. The defenses we like are almost identical. I almost went with the Titans, but I had the extra money for the Steelers, so I don't think you can go exceedingly wrong with either one of them.
No, defense is always, it's always a crapshoot, and you get those few that every once in a while the top defense on the slate will, I mean, like the Cowboys last week, I think they were like 3,800 or $4,000, and I mean they scored put up another 30 points. So it's like, right now it seems like every once in a while it's okay to pay up for those really, really good elite defenses. I just don't think this is the week.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Cowboys week in and week out, they had one bad week against, surprisingly, the Cardinals, but yeah, other than that, they week in and week out, they've just been dominant. So did you, Jordan, did you come up with your picks, your spread picks for the week?
I did. So I like, right out of the gate, first game on Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m., the Bills giving 5.5 to the Jags. I like Houston on the road getting points. They're getting 1.5 against the Falcons. And then, like I said, I like the Chiefs -3.5. I just have this weird feeling that 3 p.m. Kirk Cousins is coming out.
So are those your picks for today?
Those are my picks for today.
I don't know why I was so lengthy with mine, but I totally agree with you on the Bills. I took 2 big spreads after that. I took the Lions -10, and I also took the Dolphins -12 versus the Giants. My only underdog pick was the Rams +4 at home versus the Eagles. On Sunday night, I like San Francisco -4 versus Dallas. And last but not least, actually, I said my only underdog, I actually love the Packers +1 on a Monday night special versus the Raiders.
I like that. Yeah, it depends. I don't know. I don't know if Jimmy G's cleared concussion protocol.
I'm not 100% sure either. I think he did, but even if he did, I still love the Packers.
Yeah,
they're getting points.
Their defense has played pretty good. So I've been keeping track of my bets as well. Week 1, I was a perfect 3-0. Week 2, I was 2-1. Week 3, I only had 2 bets, but I hit them both. And then week 4, so last week I was 2-1. I missed the Panthers +4.5.
So you've only lost if 2 games all year, sounds like.
Yeah, I'm 9-2 right now. I'm actually pretty stoked because not very often that happens.
No, that is totally awesome. So Jordan, where can they find you?
All right, so yep. So on the For Frequency Sake Network, DSF Deep Dive. Every I write an article. I usually start it Tuesday when news starts to come out, and then finish it up Thursday night during the Thursday night game. I post that to Facebook, Twitter, Substack. It's just an article breaking down the plays as I go over it. That same sheet is the same sheet that I look at. You can kind of see me looking to my right, your left. And that's what I go off. I go off that, and I go off my plays there. Every once in a while, I'll get some news, but yeah, you can find that article every Friday. It comes out at 10 a.m. And then I'll be right here at 7:15 every Friday with Brian. We'll be breaking it all down.
Well, I know Jordan and I would like to thank everybody for joining in. As for me, you can always get me at VanityGrad92 on X. I always have to emphasize that because I usually forget and call it Twitter, but they're both the same. Also, on Thursday nights, you can find me. I work with another website, goingfor2.com. You can find me on the Dynasty Deep Dive. That airs at Thursday night pregame show at 6 p.m. Central. And then, like Jordan said, we're both here on Friday nights. And a lot of weeks we'll be here with the Sunday main show that kicks off at 10 a.m. And we got an hour and a half full of fun for everybody right here at the Frequency Sake Network. So once again, we'd like to thank you for joining in. Hopefully we'll see you again next Friday, and hope everybody's photo finishes, like they say in horse racing, or winning ones. So have a great week and good luck in all your games.
See you guys later.